What I'd like to do here is talk you through what I have found and believe to be the most common symptoms of self-sabotage. This is what shows up. This is what manifests. These are the signs that you are a self-saboteur. So first off, perfectionism, or being too hard on yourself. Now this is a big one. A lot of people fall into this camp, and I know I do at times. But the challenge with this is that as you run the risk of being consistently and persistently of the view that you're never going to get things right. And this can stop you from success in all areas of your life, whether that's study, work, relationships, business, etc. And it can lead to an awful lot of stress, considerable anxiety, and eventually possible depression as well. But you typically don't get started on stuff or don't feel like you can finish anything because it's just waiting for it to be perfect, and it's not a good thing. The next one is plain old pessimism. Quick to see what's wrong, quick to see what's negative, pointing out the bad rather than the good. Now, in my view, and this is my opinion, this is possibly the number one reason why relationships struggle, why people who are self-saboteurs struggle in relationships, because you're constantly picking on what's going wrong, constantly picking on the things that are not quite right, not meeting up to whatever imaginary standards you have in your head. And unfortunately, no partner is going to stick around for too long for somebody who's constantly pointing out the flaws and the faults and the things that are going wrong. Now, this is a classic way to destroy your own self-esteem. It is a classic way to lead to massive anxiety. It's also a classic way of destroying any kind of success you have in your life, and again, work, school, etc. Because you'll never be feeling like it's good enough. Everything that you do will be seen as not good, and you'll be looking for things that are going wrong, and that's all you'll see. And unfortunately, what I've realized about the subconscious is that you get what you focus on. You focus on what's going wrong and what's bad. Sadly, that's all you see, and that's all you'll get in your life. So yeah, focusing on what's going wrong, focusing on the bad, it ain't good. Another biggie is waiting until the last minute. Now, when I was a student, I never did this. I always got stuff done early on, and it was done and dusted and out of the way. However, most of my colleagues on my course often did an all-nighter the night before something was due to be handed in, and this kind of stuff leads to massive amounts of stress. It's a classic procrastination symptom, and the problem is it leads to a high level of anxiety. Typically, when you leave things to the last minute, you don't perform at your best, so the results aren't as good as they could and arguably should be. And also, if you increase your stress levels, if you increase your cortisol levels by leaving things until the last minute, research is now showing that it leads to all kinds of health issues, often heart disease, high blood pressure, etc., and all the things associated with those. This is a biggie, because it's so common. I'm guilty of it at times, not so much these days, but I have done this and occasionally still do, and it's stressful, really stressful, and stress is never good long term. Another biggie is chaos, disorganized, can't find things, constantly late, constantly behind on deadlines, etc. And this is your brain's constantly jumbled, you can't focus. And this is a biggie, because I see this happen an awful lot. Someone I used to work with was very much like this. Thankfully, it didn't affect her work too badly, and we were able to put in strategies to be able to cope with this. But that was just her makeup. The problem is it stressed her out, something chronic, and because I was her boss, it stressed me out too, because I wasn't sure that things were going to get done. But like I said, we put in strategies to be able to deal with this. Now, I've seen so many people with who are badly disorganized, and unfortunately it's a way to again increase your stress levels. It's a way to destroy any kind of success Because if you can't focus, if you can't put things where they need to be, if you can't get things done on time, then somebody's not going to be, you're going to struggle to keep a job if that's you. Relationships can suffer as well, because again, it's not a situation that many partners will tolerate if you're chaotic. Nobody wants to have to, do all the work in a relationship because you can't get it together. So yeah, work on this. Now, another one which is becoming increasingly visible these days is self-doubt and imposter syndrome, where you doubt your own abilities, you're not sure you can get stuff done, and oftentimes you don't make a start. You doubt whether things are going to work out for you, coming back to the pessimism, etc. You're constantly worrying about being found out as somebody who, isn't confident at all. And the problem is this can destroy your self-esteem. This can destroy your confidence going forward, and it will erode your ability to step out and be successful. If you're afraid of things going wrong, if you don't think you're good enough, etc., it will destroy your ability to get anywhere in any kind of successful endeavor, because you'll be constantly worried and stressed about, that it's not good enough, that you just don't know what you're doing. So yeah, this is a biggie. Fear of failure is a big deal. Imposter syndrome is a big deal. Now, something that I'm very guilty of doing is overdoing it, committing to too many things. And this leads to a feeling of overwhelm, which leads to stress, which leads to anxiety, and ultimately can lead to depression. Now, I've had to work on this over the last few years because I like being involved in things. I like having a varied life. The problem is, if I'm trying to do too many things at any one time, nothing gets done. Nothing will get accomplished to any degree of success or any degree of quality. And this is very common. And it's very common, in my view, in the business world, where people try doing too many things themselves. And I'm still guilty of doing this. I'm involved in so many different things and trying to accomplish an awful lot of stuff. And yeah, like I said, the feeling of overwhelm leads to stress. If you're not getting stuff done because you're trying to do too many things, it can also lead to stress. Higher cortisol levels can lead to all kinds of health issues down the line. So again, if you're overcommitting, you're trying to overdo it, you will erode your self-esteem, because if you're not accomplishing stuff, if you're not getting stuff done, it will make you think, am I actually, is there something wrong with me? I can't accomplish things. So yeah, be aware of this one. It's common. And the last one, and this is something you will have almost certainly heard of, and that's burnout. If you're trying to spin so many plates, you trying to get so much done, trying to accomplish all of these things, you run the risk of burnout. This is something that's increasingly common these days. Thankfully, there's more awareness of this than there has ever been. But burnout is a big deal. High stress, high cortisol levels, and it can lead to all kinds of mental and physical health challenges. I know somebody had an emotional breakdown a number of years ago, and it stopped him from functioning for months. And why? Because he was burned out. He was trying to do too much, trying to stress about so many different things. He wasn't getting enough quality sleep, certainly wasn't getting enough exercise. His diet was absolutely rubbish. And it's common. And this is a self-sabotaging technique where you run yourself to the ground to the point where your whole body, mind and body, breaks down, burns out. And it can put you out of action. Like I said, my friend put him out of action for months. So be aware of this. This is a bit of burnout is very common, and it can have devastating impact on not just you, but those around you. Now, also, I want to finish off by just saying that all of these symptoms, all of these signs are actually normal. Almost all of us will experience some of these at any given time, sometimes more than one of them. They're normal. But the reason for making this video is to give you awareness that if this is you, and this is a pattern in your life, and this is you all the time, you're burned out, too critical and too harsh on yourself, you constantly procrastinate, your life is absolute chaos and you can't get things done. If this is a pattern and this is a long-term behavior and you believe that it's having an impact on your life and on your success and on your relationships, then I urge you to try and do something about it. There was loads and loads of resources. I'm going to share what I consider to be a very good book in the description below. But if you think this is having a major impact on your life, I would urge you to get help. Seek somebody who can help, a therapist of some kind. I hate to say it, but don't go to your doctor, because doctors are very good at prescribing things, and you probably don't need drugs. You probably just need help from some kind of therapist, a psychotherapist, maybe even a hypnotherapist. But either way, if any of these symptoms resonate with you, and if any of them you think are getting out of control and have a massive negative impact on your life, don't just sit there, do something about it. You, your well-being, your relationships, those around you, and your success depend on you being able to function. So yes. And as ever, thanks for watching. Got questions, comments, please write them below. And remember to subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you on board.